Laboucan, please to come forward, and I would invite Henry Moberly to prepare himself because he'll be coming up after Alan. Can I just say as a reminder to everyone in the room, many of you have spoken and all of you have listened. Anyone who doesn't have this in hand, if you need a phone number or you need a contact name or you need to have a connection among the health support team that you can count on and call on beyond today, as things may come to mind or as you may recall, things that you've heard here, make sure that you've taken care of yourself in that way. We have a good health support team here, and just make sure that you've equipped yourself with anything that you might need by way of contact name or phone number, and just go right up to any one of them and ask for that. Okay, so I welcome Alan Laboucan, and if I can ask the room to come to silence, please.
Good afternoon. My name's Alan Laboucan. I'm from the Little Red River Cree Nation, John Doerr Prairie. I'd like to, say thank you and a welcome to everybody here today listening. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words here. I'm not going to take much of your time. But I guess what I'm here for is I am a survivor of the residential school system or program that was there. I guess most of us here are survivors of what happened. And one of my parents, my mother, was in the residential school in St. Henry's in Fort Vermilion. Unfortunately, I guess, or maybe fortunately, my dad didn't go to the residential school. But he always used to work closely with the priests when he was still with us. But as I remember, in those days, I was born in 1956. In those days, I was there. I guess I was fortunate enough that my family moved to Fort Vermilion, and that's where I went to. And the residential school was still there at the time when we moved there, when I was a very small child. And we went to day school there. And also Fox Lake, Alberta, is further down the river, down the Peace River from Fort Vermilion, was also a day school, which had a priest and brothers and nuns, sisters, we called them. Same with Fort Vermilion. But I've seen and heard some of the things that people talked about today. What I wanted to say was it's unfortunate that we had to live through those years under the care of the priests and nuns. But I was myself, for many years, I was an altar boy. We used to have altar boys in the churches. And I did that for many years. I had to get up every morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and there was no vehicles back then, and I had to maybe walk a mile to church every morning, even when it's 40 below. I walked just to be an altar boy. I did that for many years. I don't regret it today. I don't. I guess I look at it as one of life's experiences. But I hear these things, and after a while, like listening to the sisters and the priest talking, I had this, as a young child, a young child is easily manipulated. A child's mind, it's easily, because it's part of the learning curve, especially when you're so young. Everything's new. But after a while, a few years, when I was there, like I said, we prayed every morning, at noon, before lunch, after school. We did that, a lot of it. And at the time, they said, it got to the point like, if you don't do this, God will be angry. God will not like this. What is God? And I started to think, what is God? Is he mean? The way they make it sound? I get to think like that. It seemed like normal day-to-day things that you do, like it's, as a child, you're not sure like if you're doing wrong or right at times. And after going through that, I hear these things about the nuns and the priests and other religions. Then I went to I just shared this with some people here just recently. You know, I got to thinking about the religion. This was a while back, and I got to thinking, I should go back to my tradition, my culture, approach it from that end. Because what's been said about this faith, this Catholic faith. Then I did. Went back to my traditional way of praying. And then I got to thinking again, I should talk to an elder. Let's see what he has to say about this. So I approached one of my uncles. I said, I'm thinking about something here, something heavy in my mind. I know I believe in God. And in my heart I believe he's kind. Because that's why we call him Father. And people talk about this Catholic faith. What it did to our people. I want you to help me. My mind is mixed up. Please tell me what's wrong with it. He sat there for a while and says, I'm not going to speak very long, he says. You know, he said, there's nothing wrong with the Catholic faith or any other faith. There's nothing wrong with them. It's unfortunate the way it was delivered to our people, the way it was handled. We know there were some people hiding behind that faith. It's not the Catholic faith that's the problem, it's the people. That's what he said. And there's no point in talking about any other religion, he says. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody. Just stick to your faith. Learn to forgive. That's my advice to you, he says. So from then on, I looked at it in a different light. I'm not defending anybody. I'm not defending any faith. I'm just stating what the elder had to say. Like I said, we lost our identities way back then. And I like the apology that the Prime Minister made earlier on the things that happened to the native people of this island of this turtle island we call Canada. I guess we're all hoping that we never have to see this again for our children. But today, we're still affected by what happened through the bloodline, through the generations. I see that a lot in our native communities with the alcoholism, the poverty that's there, because our people are deprived of their education that they deserved. That was the main point in taking our students to those residential schools, to educate them so they can have a good life. But that is not so. So those are the few little words I wanted to say, whatever they're worth. Thank you. Give me the time.
I'd like to invite Henry Moberly to come forward now, please. And I just want to let the room know, it's my understanding that Mr. Moberly wants to give his statement in his Cree language, which is wonderful. In many of the hearings, we've had simultaneous translation services provided, but the guidance we were given here is that we wouldn't need that, and so we haven't. And I apologize if that has been a concern to anyone here today. But your statements are certainly very welcome in whatever language you choose to give them, and we will record them and make sure that we get the translation that we need in order to include those points in the record and that they're understood. And it's my understanding as well that we're going to have some translation here at the table. Is that Lester's going to help us out with the translation. So thank you very much, Lester, and do that at whatever pace you want. So I know you'll all be perfectly fine with waiting for the translation, and we'll do that in a sequential way, as they call it. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, sir.
The name is Henry Mobley. I'm from John O'Perry Reserve. When we are no big squat tagok. One must be the mission that go big go yan. 6 feet after Ponian, go to big to go in the mission. Ego. More no chicas histana, Taga Simuan. With little red river go take off big go yan. More dogs is in there. Kigo one my hello, go get to home and go. Yeah, no, Magigan dogs skating. We check out Machihoyan. Ego. I want Spima no ma Kauni Yawya. You're going to go mere squawk. Kauni Yawya, big square home. You big square money. You get a Magawya, one you got any here big square. Mamong gets a big a soccer from a Niagara Simonan. We are near we are poor. What is been here we are? Got bit so on and penance out into Migoya. I thought it could be Taquaga somewhere. Mamma gave me on man of stay. Chris man and you want to go to big square and go somewhere. Contaman is the big square and I said to his big square and monk's kitchen. Maga. You want to give me go when I base my got to second year, first year, one was cut. Got that get so go ya. Was cut on my after Christmas. You got that that takes kitchen and I dances I got somewhere. Base cut to go to Chris, you go. Base cut Tundaga Simunan, Tundaga Simuayasan. Go. I mean a man, Kissinga Muxkatsia, in the classroom. You might have thought you're going to musical. You go. Penance money give me go ya. One lake on me in the corner. You go there and spit on none home shit cinema. One lake. 5 minutes, me go ya, I'm in school. One lake can you power ya? Now, Kisney Pui, Kisnaya Paya home. The other lake go Miss Cotastaya. You go home in another 5 minutes. All we have to. You want to man on his day, we hotel. Ni power and his day. Go Moscow, Sanway. School 5 minutes because he's there. Mahmi's got one leg. That Ni power. All school because he's there. He won my go out there. Dobby, he go. To take my snama on no honan. I got a minute Hyman. You go his nigga because he's there. He won good some go and musical. Isa ko istawa kay kang gao ya hamuto. Iskot ka skista ya. Han magiwa ka tito ya. No ki ko yan ma. Yes. Iko niga sotama. Okay pim gao ya man istawa ka na tan man ge ka ko skista ni stamanan. Iko mong skistin ki ko kon man no. I didn't know. Yes mina I didn't know. Yes, it's good to learn. Go out to Packet Nang Toga. Yes, to learn. Well, Leons and Stockton, Spill and Stockton man, yes. I walk one, it's Toga home. Yes, get to learn. Trying to go to a big square and one, yes, they to learn. Nea niu te kau e ano mani stawa kau takaiwa pim ni nom ni stawa kau e. Ke apse ke pim ni nom mani stawa ke te stawa maka ni au ya. Oh yeah, amen. At that time, we saka akpo so pe kau ya. Ni go skache ko spe. I was 5 years old. Ik was gerade bist du zo na messen. Na toen ja mi hon mo beastek. Kom aan nee. Ja geni jou se maar. Je moet ik je moet ja kwat kona mi sko. Je moet ik kan se tu mana gate Chaki mana ki se gata ya mi sko. Iku ko nanne ko higo. What take it go and money? Kigo on what that means. Chaki. No, nothing. Don't get it. My best speak or a same one. Oh, okay. He's standing on a musical. Just come on, go yet say him. You get say him. That's almost that's all. That's all. Take a one I mean school in the classroom. You know, that's all. We don't do you right on your phone. Must never know what man you. There's a double right there looking at you. That's all is it. We shake him take home. If I try to go no home, go must not see. If you don't do it right, or there's a double right in front of you, that's how it took. Oh, what they go. We were. But the man took hogging up and they were. And Magita sat. You want to go. That's all. Nothing stopped any home. Tiny home, one Magis it. That's all. I was a guy. And you see what home. I was like that on Namago. Little snake one, we to me could take pump by host. What Namo now, dog, the kid. Little paper bag one. You got under soya, so. Can you go so? Well, take on the classroom, go home. And pack it now, new thing in on paper bag. We will pay your soul. Can you post? I'll go there. You take up the snowmag on musical. You go to spy hole. Can you post? I'll say I come big school. I come must snag it. That's the way. That's the. You go take a spy hole to Oshate. That's but so was got time, let's go. What me know? You know, what's a man to go or test new one, and I just was got to. That's good to home. You got to what Pam was good by who are Pam by who to tell my guinea pig on. You don't know what's a man to more. What peg on chicken me to what Pam must was got to me, tea, which say, was got way up. Magake ko no mapasti nandan so to skonga tin skota gai. O vedi che sei come. Ne to mani ki ta ham xianan. Ye no mapasti nan. Skota way up. He gonna miss ko ge. Aya. 이거 맞지기고 어쩌거나 스트레스 상클릭 시기가 어쩌거나 메스고 또 와서면서 어쩌거나 샤워와서 가게에서 보일 또 엔메튼 샤워와서 어쩌고 이거 문제도 메스고 아야 단시 또 이게 되잖아 그때가 그 신이고 그거 다 됐어야 또 그런 것도 어떻게 이것도 왔어 Hagi se puistit. Kun niitä minäkin tahtoo piekon na basement. Kun Hobbema ja maan kutte siipaa kutte na basement niitä ajan siipaa maan kutte Hobbema na basement mihtain taasasta ja maan kutte na basement. Ja jepi kuspa muja huana. Kun what's down there in the Tokunan? There's a ghost down there. Oh, wait, ngay tapu taguya. Go down there yourself. Tanda kaya si mo naman. Nando, 2 years sa siwa ko tayo. Go down there. Yeah, okay. Naspi. Ami hasta ko tahon yo. Ami hasta ko sa. That's how we do it. Scott because pasta roast got is back on my stairway. Yeah, there's a ghost down there. Get it. What did I can't see to them. See to take it. Get it. One somebody to tago ya tao. That's all. Well, Nashville man and the boys, you go to stay bata point away. Well, pay woman go on a musical. He pick us bit. Trying to go down there, going in the basement and they think Taconina Mitawa. Want to eat Pohoma. Some man volleyball good go. You go to school, Pinayaham. Tsana wali ingutin nasa peo wa musical. Mai yote kuto mai baseball ya. Boxing gloves man nan kuto man ba musnat to ya ka. Ngutin. Kisa musni ano ngutin. Muang ke sisi nano ngutin musical nasa pit. Tsaka musti pegos pit met tono ta tao ho. Asin puni chuti pait. Kamat pema tote hey skon mati stiput pema chui pasta ro ko no wa ko te we na matman to ko te hom man ti paina ha e ko ne ko e ko se mo pone ko nan mo mat mi to se ngane me sko to se ko se poisit chen pone ko nan o ko mi to mi sko ti pa ya ko te wa ma ta Ego tais ko gat mo sa ta ko be singa ko sa ta mo no pakse mo pes ki sa mo yan. Hey.
A little closer. I don't know if I can translate.
Make sure you don't leave out the funny part.
I'll try not to. Well, Henry was, I guess he was in residential school. He said about when he was about 5, 6 years old, and he used to live in Little Red. I'm not even sure the year. But anyways, he entered for St. Henry's when he was about six years old. And he encountered problems with the language. The language itself, it was new and foreign to him. And what he said was he couldn't speak or couldn't understand what yes or no meant, or you know, stuff like that. He struggled for almost 2 years trying to understand. And every time that he tried to speak Cree, he was punished for that. And one of the things he said was they used to stand in the corner. The sister, I guess, told them that was penance for them. That would be standing in the corner, was standing on one leg, and arms folded across their chest, and 5 minutes on each leg. But if he wavered, he had to stand on the other leg for another 5 minutes. This to him was, was a long time to stand on one leg for 5 minutes, standing in the corner. And anyways, and another thing he talked about was like I said, he couldn't understand what yes or what no meant. So every time they would ask him questions and he couldn't answer, the nun would kind of twisted his ear for him to answer, I guess, in yes or no. And over time, that I guess he kind of figured, well, yes meant when a nun twisted his ear, yes meant his ear to be twisted. So I guess apparently that's what he done a number of times, is twist his own ear to say answer to yes. That's my understanding. That's what he was saying, and about and then he tried his best to write his own name, but he couldn't print or write his own name, and the nun told him that the devil isn't standing in front of you watching you, and he was standing there right in front of him, and he tried his best to kind of write his name, and he apparently couldn't print or write. So one day they were playing outside, and he noticed there was a small little snake in the garden, one of those garter snakes. So anyways, he asked one of the boys, the younger boys, to pick it up for him, and he put it in a bag, in a brown paper bag, and he took it to class. And he kind of gently put it on the floor and opened the bag up and let the snake out and let it slither away. Anyways, I guess they were sitting there in class, and the snake kind of moved towards the nun that was teaching them, and he was sitting there watching the snake crawling towards the nun. The nun noticed the snake coming towards them, and she apparently, I guess, jumped up on top of the desk and started jigging. But in the meantime, he was yelling and doing all this stuff. He pulled up her dress, all over her, and dancing. They seen everything. Well, anyways, he said, "You seen everything." That was his. That's what he was talking about, and he seen. Well, the nun seen his devil coming towards her, and another part about in the basement. They used to go down to the basement, I guess, to the boiler room or something. That's something down there, and they kind of. At one time there, they went down and they seen a ghost coming towards them, with his arms open, and they all ran up. And at the top of the step, the nun was standing there and wondering what was wrong for them to be coming up. And Henry replied to her, "There's a ghost down in the basement." And the nun kind of replied, curious, I guess, or said, "Oh yeah." And then she said, "Well, why don't you go down yourself and go and find out?" So anyways, she kind of went, I guess, brave enough, went down, took a cross, went down to the basement. And as he got down to the bottom of the step, I guess he kind of noticed that the apparition or the ghost was standing in front of her and had his arms open. She ran up the stairs. And she said, "Yeah, there is a ghost down there, I mean." And so, but and from then on, I guess things kind of cooled down a little bit. They kind of didn't. She wasn't really mean or anything towards them. And he mentioned that a few years, 2 years after that, the nun kind of left the residence. She went to Edmonton. Apparently, I guess she was bearing a child from one of the older boys in the residence, and that's what he was talking about. And I can't even remember half the stuff. There's so many stuff that he talked about. But those are the main points that he kind of mentioned. And I'd like to thank you for thank Henry for asking me to translate his story, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And let me just say thank you very much, Henry, for speaking your language and doing whatever it is you've had to do to hang on to it, but also for allowing Lester to translate for me, for my benefit, because it's clear most of the room didn't need it. And it is also very clear in this history that white society did not give the same consideration to you to make sure that you understood. So I thank you particularly for the efforts made today to help me understand your important story. Thank you very much.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
By the way, I'll be 76 years old tomorrow. My birthday.
What do you think? Does that call for a song? What do you think? Hey? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Henry. Happy birthday to you. So, friends, that is the last name I have on my list. So what I'm going to suggest now is we're going to take a 10-minute break, and you should think of it as last call for sign-up. And we'll take 10 minutes, and when we come back, either we'll hear from anyone else who's made a last-minute decision to share, and you'll be very welcome. And if there is no one else who has signed up, then I will offer some closing remarks, and we'll call on our drummers to wrap our day in a good way with their drum song. So enjoy a break for 10 minutes. If we could resettle in our places, please. We have one last presenter, and I would call on Emily Robert, please, to come forward and make yourself comfortable at the front, and call on the others to please make yourselves comfortable also. Steph? How many privates do we have altogether?
Altogether,
Yeah.
I just gotta go do a quick count. We had 9 yesterday, and then I'll be right back.
We'll just wait a minute for people to sit down. Thank you. Do you have some water there? Do you want some water? Yeah.
Thank you.
And is that your glass? Is that your bottle? That's yours, eh? No, I didn't want someone else's to be in your way, that's all.
Talk about anything? Excuse me, lady? Excuse me?
I'm listening. I just had my mouth full. I couldn't answer.
Okay.
So what we say to people generally is
I went, yeah. Yep. Yeah. And in 15 minutes,
Let it cram it into 15. Summer.
yeah.
100%.
Because I could be here for 2 days. 24 hours. Yeah. 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 So are we going to have someone come up in our area, like, actually it'd be nice if they had a workshop and come and spend. Uh-huh. We're neglected up here. I'll say that much. We're very neglected up here. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. I've never seen your faces before. Yeah. You've been to Little Red, you've been to Tall Creek, North and South, and Fort Vermilion. Uh-huh. Yeah, it is. So that's why we said, like it took a long time up here for everybody to. We're chasing the papers around and that. I helped my late father because. No, it's not. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. No, no. Yeah. Yeah. We would like to have members working in our community rather than people coming and rushing off, where we can, because we know the people here. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. If I can. Okay. Thank you very much. And if I can get a card where to contact to have these people working up here. Do you see that too? Up here? We have nothing. Our communities are like.
These are the numbers you can call.
Okay.
For health support. And Leslie, you know Leslie, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
No, where I've seen him.
Okay.
Which one is he? The black shirt?
No, he's sitting in the middle there, up there, with the red vest on.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll
so
meet him today.
He's for your area.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Yeah.
I had phoned him and he never contacted me.
Okay.
I'll say
well,
that.
You can
But I'll tell him.
Keep
Yeah. Am I on now?
So a summary.
Yeah, just summary.
just give me 1 second. Brad, can you hear me? Is this little sticky, is this the one or is that yesterday's? Estadis. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm ready. I'd like to welcome the people that are here that came to, Emily Robert from Fort Vermilion Tolkien First Nation. And I want to welcome everybody. Hayahota kapi tufti toni hiawan mina. Aya hapo muy ko yes maga ngaskitano kan stufta manigo kapi skuyan. I went to school in St. Henry Mission, and no choice of my parents, or I had no choice to go there. I didn't speak a word of English. I don't know how I function, but I'm a survivor, and all of us are. And I went to school, and I always wanted to be a career woman. I always thought, hey, I'm a girl, but hey, I can make my own living and work. But anyway, when I went to school, I fall back on the math because I had poor eyesight and nobody knew that I needed glasses. Well, I finally did, a doctor came and I received glasses. And I was picked on. I had 4 eyes now, the better to see. But it was hurtful when I was a child. I didn't know my relations. I didn't know anybody, except for my grandparents. My first cousins lived Cardinals right beside us. I didn't know they were my first cousins. I didn't know that was my auntie and Donna Wanitz on one side. I did not know these were my dad's first cousins. And my mom's family was the worst. Like I didn't know till today I don't know my first cousins, my second cousins, and it's sad. But anyway, I'm going to be 69 years old next week on Friday. I'm an elder, but sometimes I think I can do lots. I like talking, I like helping, and I'll see things that people need, or how I could read their body language. And I don't judge people because we're all sisters and brothers. It doesn't matter if you speak Cree, English, Dene, German. They're all my sisters, that's how I feel. That's me. I'm different, I guess, but I accept all people. And if I have it, I share. And anyway, I went to school there, and eventually I had 3 friends, Judy Cucciarelli, Irene Auger, and myself. We were a triangle. We had a strong bond. We helped one another. We borrowed each other's clothes. We protected our 3. It was a triangle. And the times when I was abused by an older girl by pulling my hair, slamming my face. I know who she's suffering today. Because how we treat people, it comes back to you. And I finally got Christine Atlow, Alma Nanuch, and who's the other one now? Mary Louise Nanuch, the 2 sisters. So they looked after me. But at that time, I did not know that these were my aunties, my mom's first cousin. And there was no such thing as first cousin, second cousin, third cousin. My sister's kids are my children. My uncles are like my dad's. I'm getting emotional because I had lost my dad. He was my world. And but I knew my grandmother on my mom's side, and I loved her. She was feisty, Madeline Moberly. And I loved my aunties, and I'm blessed to have two aunties left and two uncles alive, Henry and Louis, and Nora and Martha. But I do not know their children. And I came here because out of being in the mission, I went to Fort Vermilion Mission, and I requested to go to Wabasca, St. Bruno Mission in Droussard. So there's 3 places because I was trying to get higher education. Now, when I was in a mission in Droussard, my girlfriend came. They sent her away from St. Henry Mission because the priests and they couldn't control her. So she came. And anyway, we weren't allowed to go to see a movie there. So her and I ran away. We ended up in Fort Nelson. And I worked up there because I lost track of her. I went to the reserve because I knew some of the kids that went to school there, and I worked at the hospital there for 2 weeks, I think. And I found 2 nice people. She came to visit me once, and I met 2 nice people and brought me back to Alberta. But I was willing to work. You know, I would have probably still been there. And I had no, I didn't want to get married right away. I don't even know if I wanted to get married. I've been alone for 27 years, and I still plan to go back to work because I could work with my mouth, because I have compassion, good listening skills, and I see what people need. And that's why I was trying to run for council, because to me, this has nothing to do with the mission, but what I see, they have to have like a Senate. They have to have like their elders and listen to their elders and teach the helpers to get them involved, and the youth to finish their education. We have reserves. I just don't see why they don't have upgrading. No child should be illiterate, because like parents like us don't live forever, and the kids to speak their language, because that's who we are. It was taken away, but now we have the chance to do something to bring that to the little children. I'm speaking like this from my heart for being an elder. It's great, but I hope my muscles keep on working. And anyway, I had many jobs in my life in a helping field. And I don't talk about these things that I know, the knowledge that I carry. But one thing, when I get up in the morning, I thank God for my hair, my eyesight, my brain, and I ask Him to keep me safe and keep my children safe, traveling at work, and all my relations, and even the ones that are in the spirit world. That's very important to me. And what I'm saying today, like, it's not, I don't live in my head, because our head could take us all over the place. When I talk, I'm talking from my heart. And I love all of you here, and I wish I had a lot of time to talk of the bad experiences that I have. But today I suffer as from the residential school, because I didn't finish my, I wanted to go to university, and my husband was so jealous I had never made it there. But God gave me a brain, and He gave me a sight, and He gave me a lot of relations. As I was saying in the morning, like, I thank Him for my hair, my eyesight, my brain, the life every day. And we actually live in paradise. When I see the trees and the grass and the, Mother Earth, yes, I smoke bad, but I always take my butt and I put it in the garbage. We are the keepers of this earth. And sometimes our yards don't look that way. And I think we could go back to that, because that's what our great-grandfathers did years ago. Nothing was wasted. And I think if we start visiting one another, we could bond again, because there's so much division in our communities. There's so much. Sometimes there's only lies up there. They don't know you. I have to let people in my life, you know. I wasn't able to do that because my mother came first and my dad. And people say, how can you do it? They're my parents. They gave me life. My mother is in long term, and she's a very strong woman. Her muscles might be weak, but her will to live is there. And is it 15 minutes over? And sometimes I get myself into trouble with money. You know, that's another thing too. When we were never taught how to shop in the mission, we were never taught how to do laundry. We were never taught how to cook. We never were taught to communicate, because you could not speak unless you were spoken to. So now I see why we're passive, because we were great warriors before. We spoke for what we wanted. And it's not happening. You know, people shun you. They don't look at you. They don't come and visit. It's all to do with money. The phone is not the answer. That's not the way we were raised. And when I see my relatives, I'll go approach them. Even my relative here, everybody's my relation. Because we all came from the same family. We all came from Adam and Eve. It's just that we have a different dialect. And I could say a lot more, but with the closing, I would like to say many blessings to everybody. This was coming through spirit, what I'm saying. I guess it's important. It's important. Not I guess. I know it's important, and it had to be said and heard. So I love you all, and you have a safe trip wherever you came from. And thank you for listening to me. Hi. I would have spoken Cree. That should have been the first language, but do you speak Cree? See, I have nobody to. Oh, one last important thing. I would like to see people come, work in our communities and go and work. There's so much. We're neglected up here, and I'll say that because I'm a living proof. I never applied for my mission money for a long time, and I worked on my dad. There's people come, they were never in a mission. They came and filled, and then no answer after. You hear all kinds of stories. And I think these people, at least they would, go see the people. You can't go and share your story about the hurt and leave it open, because you're damaging the survivors more. But that's not but this is if there was a book written, I would like to see that. I'm not referring to you kind ladies. I'm referring to the people that work in this field. So I have a contact now where to call. Yeah. And I hope everybody heals, but the healing comes with our choice in life, and talking to God every day. The great spirit of the white light, because there's spirits of the dark too, but it's the white light always, it's the good ones that will come to you. And you all have a gift, and you're all very important. And thank you, my friend Maggie. Yeah. Thank you for listening. I like to talk. I could talk all 24 hours. And then I would go on each subject and, but 15 minutes is telling me again from the mission, keep quiet. Okay.
I want to say to Emily, and I want to say to anybody else in the room, if anyone feels that there is something really important that they didn't have a chance to say and that they wanted to say, please don't leave here carrying that. And if you want to come back up or come up for the first time and say something else, you're welcome to do that. I want to be very clear that the guideline of 15 minutes is not meant in any kind of a disrespectful way. When we come to a community, we have no idea ahead of time how many people are going to speak. Sometimes we have 10 or 20 people, as we've had here. Sometimes we have 1,000 people sitting in a room. It's very different from one part of the country to the other, and we don't know ahead of time. And I know that what is a terrible thing is to ever have to turn anyone away and say, you can't speak because we've run out of time, because we've had 3 speakers and they took an hour and a half each. So we have to try to find, and that's why we offer the option of private statements as well, because we don't want anyone to feel that they ran out of time or that there were things they wanted to say that they didn't have time to say. But we also want to make sure that there's room for everyone who wants to speak publicly. And as you all know here, yesterday and today, and I've kind of just put out a last call, as I said in the last break, we have some time this afternoon. So if anyone feels that they didn't have enough time and that there was something else they really wanted to say, please make that known so that we can give you that time. And the other thing I want to say, though, is that we know this. For many people, when they come forward to speak, they're very stressed about it. And it's helpful for them to have a sense of passing time, because they lose track of time. And they don't know whether they've been speaking for 2 minutes or 25 minutes, because you're feeling what you're feeling. So it's also meant as a guide and a help. It's not meant as it's certainly not meant as residential school repetition. It's not meant in that way in the slightest. And it's certainly not meant to be disrespectful of anyone. So I just want to leave that for a moment. I know that there is a presentation to be made now, and I want to call up Roderick, but I do just want to pause for a second in case there's anyone, and if so, maybe you could just show by show of hands if there's someone who wants to come up and say more, and we'll just take a moment and allow you to do that. And I'll just wait for that for a moment here before we carry on. Yep. Rocky, could I ask you to, I don't know if Stephanie can hear me there. Stephanie? So I just note that we're going to have someone come up now, and it's a part 2 of a previous statement, so just for your record keeping. Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Yesterday, I shared my experience, some of my experience, my strength, and the hope for my grandchildren. I am Molly Chisike. I went to the Assumption Indian Residential School. I went there somewhere between 1960 or 59, around there, to 1968. The thing I wanted to share today is when we were at the mission school, there were lots of buildings. There were
Could I just have silence in the room, please? So I really want to hear Molly. Thank you.
we had farm animals. We also had a huge garden, and year-round we had the older kids look after, I guess in the fall we were the ones who would pluck the chickens and stuff like that. And you wanted us to educate the people about how our experience was. And to me, that growing up there when I was very little, we worked very hard right from the time we went in. And you know, one of the things I remember is we always went to bed hungry, and there was always shortage of food, and we always had very little to eat. And the priests and nuns were the ones who had all the fruits and vegetables. And the only time we ate the vegetables is when we stole it during the nighttime. And I don't know, there would be some brave kids who would go downstairs and steal fruit in the middle of the night, and they would share it. But we didn't, I did it only once. But the guy that caught us, he let us go. He said, "Run, take your apple and run." And I dropped the apple and I was running, and I was really small, and I looked back and I grabbed the apple and I ran. And I think today, those are some of the people that helped me to believe that, that, yeah, we could have, those kinds of thoughts that fester in your mind about parenting. I work very hard to look after my kids, but I never hugged them until I was 5 years sober. I sobered up in 1985. I didn't drink after that. And I learned about talking about your feelings when I was in a treatment center. And I really work hard when I am in a job. And I always wondered, what sort of things did I teach my children? And I don't think I was taught to care about myself as an individual. I was closer to my classmates, some of them, because we were there together all the time, every day. And I didn't really know my parents really well, because we didn't really talk about anything. And when I interact with my children, it's like they don't like me And I get a feeling that we talk sometimes, but then most of the time we're remotely, we don't really communicate that good. And then there are days when I just hug them and love them and I spend time with them. But I don't want to be one of those parents who have children taking care of them because they feel sorry for me. Because that's what we were taught at the mission. You take care of the ones you feel sorry for. And I don't know where that comes from. But I learned that when I was little, that and it doesn't really have anything to do with love or honoring yourself. It's more like how can I put it in terms of looking back, you see people hurting, but then you shut down your feelings and you just give them what they want so they can just leave you alone. And I think as a parent, I did that for my children, and I think that's part of my experience as a parent. I didn't learn to parent. We were never taught to talk about sexuality. We didn't know where we came from or how we got here. A lot of our images of what we learned about being Native came from the movies. We watched movies, and the Hollywood images is what we learned, where we learned. It was funny because when the Cowboys were winning, we used to sit there and cheer for the Cowboys, and we would be all cheering. And the Indians would be getting killed off. And we didn't know we were Indians. And we thought the Indians were boogeymen in the bushes. I don't know. It's like, when you really seriously think about it, like as a survivor from the residential school, we do have a lot of stories. And the more we talk about amongst ourselves and with our children, our community, we learn to appreciate that, yes, we can laugh about these things, but at the same time, we need to educate not only our children, but our community about what happened. And, we're not evil people. What happened should never have happened. And I keep saying that because it's like, you beat somebody to the point where they're not going to get up anymore and they give up trying. I think that's what happened to us. And, some of us, we say, we're going to get back up whether you hit me one more time, I'm going to still get up. I had surgery in my eyes because I got hit too many times. And I have really bad cataracts. And I don't know, it's like we were also, I believe, tested for medicine because in Assumption Indian Residential School, my age and the ones that come before me, we have scars. We were given this medicine, we drank it, and there's 3 lines in our backs. And all of us took it. And we don't know, like they didn't tell us what it was. those sort of things happen to us. And all those nuns and priests and who went to all these residential schools moved around, so they knew all the other missions. So when I talk about this, I really believe that we need to educate ourselves by reading, writing, and helping each other to talk about these things more. And because I know when I got my long hair chopped off, and and I had a little bang, there was about maybe 10 of us, and we were just little, and we were laughing at each other because like we didn't know that, we didn't see each other without our braids, and all of a sudden our hair is just, and we're all laughing at each other because it was funny. But, we were crying. That was, my grandmother cried when I got home at Christmas time and she saw my hair. And I said, I got a new haircut. I'm really happy with it. And she said she's not. I never had long hair since then. This is hard for me. Because I wonder what else got chopped off. And then today, I'm thinking today, I want to have a good relationship with my family. I want to be able to love my family, my daughters. And I want to be able to educate them without having to scream at them or yell at them or swear at them or to force them to be the person that I want them to become. And I don't know because sometimes when I talk to them, they just turn up the music. Say, don't talk to me. I just want to move away, far away. And I think those are the things that I need to go back to. And yeah, I did graduate from college. I did, I might go back to school and finish university. And I will continue. Like that man said, you can just take the garter snake and put it under somebody's skirt and they'll do a dance. And this is our story because we're coming home. Because, I'm not going to be lost anymore. If my story is going to help to educate the Canadian public about what happened, I don't want my grandchildren to be taken away by children's services. I tried very hard, but when they got taken away, I almost went crazy. I remember my dad saying, when they lived in Zamal Lake up the river, he said, when all the children were put in those canoes and they were paddling up the river, he said, the whole community was like, the wolves in the winter time when they're howling. Everybody was crying. And I remember going back to the mission and crying under the blankets. And hoping somebody would hear me and come and get me. And how many times we had to be so quiet. Well, I decided today and a long time ago that I'm not going to be quiet anymore. I told my grandchildren, you tell on them if they hurt you. You talk. And I'm not ashamed to cry. And I'm angry that we were used for all kinds of things. And my aunt who died at the residential school, I heard my auntie who passed away say that she got pushed down the stairs. And my other auntie, she said that she starved. They starved her because they injured her and they didn't know what to do with her. So they put her in that room. And my other auntie would go sneak downstairs and steal food and give it to her. I don't ever want to see that happen today or at any other time. If you see a Native person being drunk and hurt, I was there. I know what it's like to hurt and to drink, to kill the pain, and wish that I wouldn't wake up the next day. But there is, like I said, there is hope. And there were people in the mission schools who were good. Not all of them were bad. And I know that our parents, we didn't tell them what happened behind the walls. They never knew. We couldn't tell them. And they never knew. They just thought we were well taken care of. And, today I just want to share that piece of information to help educate the public about what happened, but it's my experience. And I'm no longer that helpless child. I'm an adult now. I'm growing old, like that other lady said, I want to be a healthy elder. And I want to laugh like this man who shared his story. I honor all those people who are survivors. Thank you for your stories. I appreciate being able to share my story. And, you know, one of the things that I do know is, like, there were good times, but we spend most of our time with our friends. I spend most of my time with my classmates, and then we spend most of our time with our other cousins, and you know, today I can tell you that one of my best friends and I look at her and I look at myself and I think, you know, me and her, we used to go to that Sister Agnes and say, I want to go back with you. I want to become a nun just like you. I want to be a sister, because she was nice to us, you know. How many of us, you know, became separated so much that there's bits and pieces, you know. Today I feel like, you know, I wish that we had more time on weekends to spend with my dad and my mom. When we were little, we went home for summer holidays, and you know, during the summer holidays, that's when we became free to do whatever we wanted, and our parents allowed us to be children. And I know that, you know, I'm happy that my dad was the one man who let me shave with him when I was little. When I was about 6 years old, you know, I went home and he was shaving in the summertime, and he had his basin and his mirror and he was shaving. I looked at him and I got a basin and I got one of those things, and I started putting that stuff on and I started shaving, and he would shave and I just, you know, it was all quiet. He didn't tell me nothing. I didn't tell him nothing. I just went and did it. And then my mom comes along and she said, don't do that. When you grow up, you're going to have lots of hair on your face. You know? That's why today I believe in, you know, children being who they are. Without apologies, I thank you for your time.
So I would like to call up, this morning we were given a good welcome from the Friendship Center here and from Mr. Shalifu, and I'd like to call him up, Rodney Shalifu, to do a presentation now, please. Could we have the handheld mic up here, please, guys? Oh, there you got it. Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to have the Father come up, or Archbishop come up. I just want to thank you for saying the opening prayer this morning. And we're asking you to say the closing prayer tonight for your little gift in the Friendship Center.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's something that we do for the people that come and share with us every so often.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored. I really am. You know, I know we often say I don't deserve this, but we never deserve a gift. If we deserved it, it wouldn't be a gift. If we deserved it, we'd say, well, this is my right. I worked for this. But it wouldn't be a gift anymore. And it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much. I've been asked to say a prayer. Let us pray. Loving Creator, Father of us all, we just thank you for the gift of people. People are gifts in our life, like the gift of this eagle. They're gifts. We don't deserve them. We don't work for them. We can't claim them as our own. They're gifts from you, Lord. And we just thank you for the beauty of your gifts, for the beauty of all those who we met these last 2 days, for their stories filled with pain and anguish. We know, God, that if there is any peace or reconciliation, that it comes from you. You are the one who knows how to reconcile better than we do. And so we thank you for the call to reconciliation. We thank you for our time here these last 2 days, for the work of all those who are a part of this commission, for our Commissioner Wilson, who is with us, and all of the health workers that assist her. We thank you for the hospitality of the Friendship Center and the good that it does for the native peoples of this area. We thank and praise you, Lord, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, President Chalifu, and thank you, Archbishop Petipa. It sounded like a closing prayer, but we're not quite done, because I do want to offer some closing remarks, as is my habit and our habit as commissioners, to reassure you that we've been listening carefully and that you've been heard. And then we will have a closing drum song from the Little Red River Drummers. So let me just do that along the lines of the remarks I made yesterday. And I would have begun with the several that Archbishop Petipa has already thanked. So let me just, on behalf of all of us, further thank the crew that has prepared the space here for us, those who prepared food and our meals, those who have prepared this space in a sacred way through prayers and song, those who have kept us all safe in body and spirit, and with our hearts as well, through the Health Canada support team. And also to thank our technicians who have been with us to take care of your words and your teachings which you've given us. And I mentioned them yesterday, but today I want to make sure that you've heard their names. We have Brad back there, who has been tracking all of the website visitors for us. And we have Chris and Pat, who've been running the sound and the camera for us here. I want to acknowledge Stephanie, and beyond Stephanie, there are other people who've been working with her, because many of you have chosen to do private statements. In fact, I think this is the first time that we've had a hearing where we've had just as many and possibly more private statements than public. And so that's a very interesting one about this particular hearing. And we want to thank those who have been both the statement gatherers and the health support team in the private statements as well. We, more than anything else, I know, owe our thanks to all of you for the courage that brought you to this table, for the good heart that guided your words, and for the wisdom that you offered us. We heard today in addition to the things we talked about yesterday, we heard a number of times about the importance of sobriety and the connection between being able to set aside addictions and being able to move forward with your healing. We also heard an important thing about that just getting sober for several of you was not enough, that it took time after that to really start healing and to be able to do measurable things like expressing your emotions to your family and your children. And so I think we all heard that, and important that we take that message so that we not be discouraged for those who may be in early days of sobriety, that it takes some time for things to settle out in a good way. We heard a lot about physical punishment today, and I already spoke to you in one of the breaks about that issue of strapping, and I would encourage all of you to be specific and precise as you continue to share your experiences with each other or as you tell others, so that you are not diminishing in any way the full impact of what happened to you. We heard a lot today about systems and institutions and those things that are put in place in a collective way and how they can do damage and kind of in a way hide behind the institution. And from there we heard some very good conversation about the importance of separating out individuals from the institutions they may have chosen to hide behind, including religion. We heard some very important messages today about language and culture and religion. First of all, in language, we actually heard some rich spoken Cree language, and I think one of the most powerful statements that you appreciated as a room was the one offered to us in Cree, and that resilience and that pride in language that is so important. But we also heard from Archbishop Pettipas some interesting reflection on his new and deeper understanding of culture, and that it is possible to be attached to one's culture without having to think everybody else's is less than or is not also important or is a reason to disrespect. That we can be strong in our own cultures while respecting others. And we heard also today in an interesting way some very specific discussion about religion. We heard about specific teachings within the Baha'i faith and a particular thing that is said there about the very important role that the Aboriginal peoples of the land will play in lighting up the world anew, in showing a pathway of light. We heard a number of you talk about the cultural teachings that you received that defined you when you were little through parents or grandparents. And we heard a number of you talk specifically about religion as one of the areas you had to do work in. Where do I fit in my religion? How do I am confused about that because of some of the things that happened under the watch of the church, and yet my own feeling that God is good and a relationship with God. Some of you talked about that today. And so some very important, I think, and deep reflection on the meaning of culture, religion, spiritual belief, and the room for many different, as one of the elders said in one of our hearings somewhere else in the country, he said, there are many different tools for talking to the one God. That was the way he described it. Yesterday I talked about that little puppy who was in the room, and today the thing that touched my ears with such tenderness was this little baby, because it's always a reminder of the newness of life and the possibility for things to be better and positive and different and to start again. And I'm grateful for that little baby's voice there in our midst. We heard a great deal today. Several of you talked about this, and some of you named them by name. Those friends in residential school who were your family, who became your sisters, whether they were sisters or not, who in many times were the connections that were stronger and more important to you even than connections with your own parents, because you were not allowed to have that in the same way. And we also heard about protectors today, Some of the older ones, it turns out, were relatives who watched out for and helped. We shared the gift of laughter today on a number of occasions. Laughter as a healing gift, but also laughter as a strengthener, as a way to get through hard times, as a way to reclaim control of situations sometimes. And today and yesterday, and I want to point this out to you because it's very significant. Every community, in every single community, I find something that is outstanding, that is different from what we've had anywhere else. And I can tell you that in this community, in these hearings, we have heard from more non-Native people proportionately than we have at any other hearing. Do you know 5 non-Native people chose to speak here yesterday and today? And do you know that's over 30% of the statements we had in this public forum? The reason that is so important is because it's going to take all of Canada working together and speaking up to turn around those things that need to be turned and to insist on those things that need to happen. We cannot let this be seen as something for Aboriginal people to fix themselves. They didn't create the situation, and we can't abandon and expect it to be solved. There are things that belong to all Canadians, and there are responsibilities there. So hearing those voices was very particular to this hearing, and I want you to take some heart from it. I've been touched by all that you had to say, as I am at all the hearings. And I would like to give last word back to you by referencing some of the very good things that I heard today. Those things that are uplifting and that I hope will fill you as you leave here, and that you'll be able to carry with you and reference them when you need to. You remember I referenced this early this morning. Archbishop Pettipas saying in his prayer, I can't get myself quite comfortable here. I'll move. That we cannot honor the Creator without honoring each other. One of you said, why did my father bring me to these elders to teach me as to who I really am? Now I understand. Now it's my time to pass these teachings on. It starts with each and every one of us. What's done is done. You can't undo it. You can't unsay. You just have to forgive and always be proud of who you are and move on. Love yourself and love your neighbors. Forgive one another and start healing. Nobody can do it for you. Culture is good. It is who I am. I don't have to be like somebody else in order to respect them. I can be very different from them and still honor them. My wish is that the conversation doesn't end here, that we will be carrying this on beyond here. That's the thing I want to throw out of my house, is anger and hurt. I want love and forgiveness. There's nothing wrong with the Catholic faith or any other faith. We know there were some people hiding behind that faith. It's not the Catholic faith, it's the people who did harm. Just stick to your own faith and learn to forgive. Everybody is my relation. Many blessings to everybody. I love you all, and I hope everybody heals. Our healing comes with our choices, talking to God every day. You all have a gift, and you are all very important. I am no longer that helpless child. I am growing older, and I want to be a healthy elder, and I want to laugh. So these are many beautiful things that you've said to yourselves and to each other and to all those who've been joining us around the world in many different countries today. In 6 different countries today: Canada, the Netherlands, the United States, India, Australia, and Malaysia. So you've said these things to many people who are paying attention and walking with you in the ways that they can. I would like to leave you with one last thing. Seems I'm always struggling to find just the right page that I want. But it was actually something that was said in early this morning, and then something that was said at hearings I attended last week in Terrace, British Columbia. Because one thing I like to do is carry messages from one gathering to the next as a way of assuring you that you are not alone, you are not walking alone on your healing journey, and that there are many others walking with you and facing the same challenges and holding out the same hopes. So first of all, here today, let me reference the grandfather's teaching that we heard about early this morning. And it was in the statement that we were offered by Maggie, talking about what her grandfather had told her. He said, "You'll be going in there to learn. Look at it as a teaching, something to use in the future. At different stages of your life, you'll have different teachers. Just like picking berries," he said, "pick out the good ones. You will use them in the future." It was a very beautiful way to remind us to take those things that are good and that serve us well, and to set down those things that are no longer helping or serving a good purpose. The message I want to offer you from one of your brothers in Terrace, British Columbia. He was talking about an important change that happened within his family, and he, as an intergenerational survivor, was able to make amends with his dad, and his father was able to come forward and face his family and face those things that he needed to address with honesty about ways in which he had fallen short as a parent. He says he had to unlearn, and we all participated in that unlearning by holding him accountable. Today we have the best relationship ever. And this is the part I really want you to hear. There is hope out there. Things can get a whole lot better with your families and with those around you, and it's never too late. There is hope. You just need to go out and take it. And so with those positive words and all of your own that we've shared here today, I want to thank you all very much for this tremendous contribution that you have made to Canada, for the tremendous contribution you've made to the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and for those teachings that will be there for the generations to come through the wisdom of your own words. I wish you all well. I wish you safe travels home. I wish you continued healing. And know that I will take the wisdom of this hall, this sacred gathering, and I will pass it forward to the next gathering of survivors so that they too will know that they're not alone and that you're also with them. Thank you very much. Hi, hi, Masicho. And I want to call on the Little Red River drummers to end our day with one of their beautiful drum songs. I made a boo-boo. I was supposed to call Crystal up to call on the drummers, and I lost track. Sorry, Crystal, thank you. There's
Hello, my name is Crystal Cascabin, and I'm the coordinator for this event. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out. You guys made this event a huge success, and I don't know what we would have done without you. And I wanted to say thank you to TRC for giving me the opportunity to organize this event for High Level and the surrounding communities. And it's a first for me, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. And I just like to close off the event with drummers from the Little Red River Cree Nation. They're going to start off with a prayer song and then move on to an honor song and then a round dance. And I wish you all safe journeys, and we'll see each other again down the healing journey. Okay, night.
Hello. For the third song, when they do the round dance or song, we'd like everyone to join in if possible. And if we can bring the chairs in, that way we can do a round dance around, just to make room. But the first songs, prayer and honor, and then the third song we can all join in.
singing one round dance song, so